Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
Okay, here we go. Good evening, everyone. It's Tuesday, March 31st. We're meeting in the lower theater, the Rockingham Town Hall. Welcome to the joint board meeting of the Rockingham Select Board, Bellows Falls Village Trustees. Not sure if I said this already. It's Tuesday, March 31st, 2020. It's now 6:04. We also have some members and some public joining us through Zoom, protect the health and limit the amount of folks in here. So there's some information about joining, but I'm not going to read that right now. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda for routine administrative matters and or pressing matters that will require ratification at a future meeting?
The village president would like to add 2 executive sessions, and because of the topics, I'm suggesting they be before the one that is there. Because the one that is there will not include everybody.
Right, except the last one that I asked for is trustees only. It does not,
Oh, that's true. Okay.
So we have to put that one at the end, but I have no problem. I'm perfectly fine with putting the second one ahead of that. That would be concerning legal matters. So that'll be
Okay.
first, and then the labor relations one second.
What's the first one?
Legal matters?
Both boards?
Yes, both boards. Labor relations, both boards. Trustees on
The third one.
on the third one.
Trustee on the third only.
Yeah, exactly. And we could adjourn.
Everybody hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any more additions to the agenda?
Nope.
Can't actually hear, we couldn't hear it right, too far from the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry, we were talking about three
You don't need
executive
to
sessions.
repeat it, they said.
Okay, yeah, good, okay.
Where's your mic?
Oh, my God. He took it, put it over there.
No, I didn't.
Now, no. It was moved by Alex so that we would have more volume.
There we go. Now we're good.
And now, okay. Right. Thank you.
Okay, need to approve the minutes of the joint board meeting, January 28th.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the minutes of the joint board meeting, January 28th. Any discussion, comments? None. We will signify by saying aye. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We all agree we don't need a voice vote. Motion passes. Approve the minutes. Are there any public comments on items not on the agenda? If you have any, they'll be limited to 3 minutes per person.
Alex has one.
Yes, sir.
How you guys doing? I'm speaking as Alex Stradling, resident, not for Fact TV and taxpayer. So, yeah, we were looking for another manager, correct? Come end of June 30th.
Who's speaking?
You know, I've been in this town for a while. You know, we've had.
Can you hear him? Alex Stradling, citizen of the village, is speaking.
So, you know, we got another manager search. We have a lot of manager turnover. It's frustrating. It's disheartening. Town deserves better. The board deserves better. A person who becomes a manager deserves better. I'm just asking the board to consider maybe a different government organization structure. Does the village need a manager? Does the town need a manager? Just asking the board to consider that. You know, we have a lot of turnover, and it's just, it's like the lack of leadership because of the turnover. It just, nothing seems to get done. So, costs a lot of money. So I would ask to consider that, if that's a possibility. Does anyone have, this isn't to put anyone on the spot, I know it's public comment, but does anyone have any comment on, you know, maybe operating without a manager? Either the
It
village.
has to be brought up in a town meeting, it has to be voted on.
Bill's
So
meeting.
what-
Correct.
what people want.
Correct.
And it takes a year after that, once you vote one way or the other.
It's something to consider.
It also takes a charter change, I believe, doesn't it?
For the village, it would take a charter change.
Right.
Yeah.
So it would
It
have to be
requires more
approved.
work.
It would be approved by the legislature as
You
well.
know, you guys, they don't want to merge. We don't want to merge. You know, have you guys, the village, considered using a different manager than having sharing a manager?
It's been discussed, yes.
So
It
just
has.
putting that out on the table.
Again, we have to have an article on our ballot to do the same thing that the town would
Yeah.
do, to ask the voters if they would choose a different form of management.
But it might be worth it to at least present that to the voters as something to consider. It might be worth it. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Anyone else? Public comment?
Any hands raised? I don't see anything.
Hearing none. Sorry?
I'd like to say something. Okay, certainly phone ringing in my office too. Hang on. Yeah, I mean, spinning off on what was just said, for me, I don't presume to know the substance of the unhappiness between the boards and wetland. That's all done in executive session, and as a citizen, I'm not privy to that. But I think as what's just been said, we're at a point, what I can point to is a huge symptom of dysfunction within the town and the village. And this is the fact we're looking for the 7th town manager since 2009. Granted, one was an interim manager. This trend of turnover has gone on for far too long. And all of us know that a high turnover is indicative of an unhealthy environment. And then, of course, how are we going to recruit a high caliber manager to the town and village with this history and pattern? Speaking for myself, we need both boards to embark on some different and challenging questionings, not jumping to a conclusion about do we need a new organizational structure. We need to discern what the root cause is, or causes, of what is leading to this unhealthy environment. Are there poor governance, policies, and practices in which roles are misunderstood and blurred? Do we have differing priorities? But this should not, if we have differing priorities, that shouldn't continue for 11 years. Or very bluntly, do we have the right people on the bus? Which is a great phrase out of the book, good to great. We need honest self-disclosure, and not finger pointing, and what I would call joint responsibility. I'm not convinced right now that both boards can come to clarity by yourselves. And I would encourage you to hire a facilitator to work through just what the heck is happening here. It's not healthy, it's not good, and it's not a strong pattern to recruit. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
This is Wayne Case in Bellows Falls, and not to play the same record too many times, but I too am disappointed with what I see as lack of intelligent oversight over the town. And I just point to the several recent firings and in some cases rehirings of the same people for the same positions, going back to the library director, to the director of Department of Public Works, and now to the town administrator. These three individuals I have had some contact with personally. In my experience, they are all dedicated, hardworking, intelligent, thoughtful individuals. If there is another aspect to these individuals that I do not know about, I would like to hear about it. And I'd like to ask each of the board members in turn to explain their reasoning for their vote last week and to consider what it does to the town to have this constant turnover and how their vote, especially at this time when there's an awful lot going on, how their vote to not rehire a hardworking professional when there is no plan in place to fill that position yet is a good one and serves the town well. And I thank you for any comments.
Thank you very much. I'll just remind you, these are public comments, and although this is a public meeting, this is the meeting of the joint board meeting of the Rockingham Select Board and Bellows Falls Village Trustees, and we have an agenda that's scheduled here, and that's what we'll be focusing our time on this evening. Anyone else that's tuned in here? Okay, manager's report, please.
Yeah, just a couple of things, because mostly we've all been working on the COVID response, and that's on the agenda. But just to let the public know, the recycling center will be open tomorrow. We're really on a week or day-by-day situation with the recycling center and keeping it open, so people are looking for the updates. And we're putting everything on our website. The website's the main avenue we're using for information. So if you have another way you want to get information, let me know. My phone's on all of the materials. And we're also posting paper notices throughout town. So we'll talk more about COVID very soon. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the agenda, item number 1, report from the Vermont Commission on Rural Development.
Yep, and they're actually the council, so that is an error. This is for them to report back to you. This process actually started 2 years ago, I guess, Gary, when the select board invited them to come. And is Jenna here? I don't see her on the list. Jenna, are you there?
Yep, I'm here, and Paul Costello is with me as well, and Nick Kramer, who just joined our team. And I think Paul's going to take the lead on a report.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having us on the agenda, and appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all. Probably it was a year ago that we let you know, after your letter of request, which came from the select board and the trustees of Bellows Falls, that we would be able to bring a community visit process to Rockingham this year. We do this work in partnership with the Vermont Community Foundation, USDA Rural Development, Northern Borders Commission, the Agency of Commerce, and their leaders all participated in the process in Rockingham. The Council on Rural Development is charged by the Federal Farm Bill to be a neutral convener of public process. So we came into this process not knowing the decisions of Rockingham residents about the direction that they would choose with this process. We never tried to guide anyone towards any particular end. We want to thank you all for welcoming the process, welcoming the team to town. Over the course of 3 months, more than 200 residents of Rockingham participated. They put their ideas, their hearts, their hopes for the future on the line. They laid out a lot of ideas, and as they were putting their ideas out, they weren't putting ideas out for what Washington would do or what Montpelier would do, but what they were willing to work on together to move forward in Rockingham. It's been a great honor to be part of that process. We brought 33 executive level state, federal, and nonprofit officials with us to listen, not thinking they know better than Rockingham about what's good for Rockingham, but to listen, to really try to hear some of the key ideas and directions, to reflect back what they knew about potential resources. Today we are publishing this report, which this is the black and white edition. If you haven't gotten it yet, we'll want to send it to you electronically, and we'll have 150 or 200 paper copies put together that can be used by the town and the villages and the working teams of people in the community to look for resources as they drive forward. This is the 75th process like this that we've done. We've seen towns hit it out of the park, redevelop buildings, redevelop downtown commerce, develop water and sewer projects, or just build activities for young people and visitors. Every town's different. In Rockingham, 3 teams were prioritized after 13 and a half hours of focus forums on December 4th, where we gathered about 25 pages of notes, all of which are in the report. On January 8th, community residents came together and prioritized actions around things that they thought that they could help to lead on and that they would line up to support. And those 3 priorities are around redeveloping Bellows Falls buildings. And Ray Masuccio has signed on to be the chair of that process and to work with a team of people who are ready to connect and look at the inventory of buildings that could be redeveloped for public purposes or for private sector development. Another group is looking to the process of supporting young people by developing a youth center for the community. That's chaired by Jesselyn Basha and Haley Galandak. And they're lined up. They're here with us tonight with Ray. And then the third that rose as a priority was around advancing community energy efficiency and resilience. And Laurel Green has agreed to chair that effort. We have seen like 75 towns do this work. Towns that have dramatically changed their trajectory, like Rutland, like Swanton, where people step up and build momentum that is transformative for the future of the community. We stand behind the task forces and the 33 partners, including Leahy's office and Sanders' office and the Agency of Commerce and all the other partners who cared about this process, still do and very much care about the success of Bellows Falls. I just want to share, I don't want to take too much time, and I'd be glad for questions, and I know that maybe the chairs would have a little bit to say about their groups. But I just say that the visiting team came into Bellows Falls not really knowing that much about the town, having sort of a snapshot picture of the town, and they each sat through 4.5 hours of testimony from Bellows Falls, Rockingham residents. And the impressions that they had of your town were incredibly glowing. That when you're on a select board, you're on the trustees, you have to take care of some tough issues, and people come to you with problems. When our team looked at your community, they saw a community that made tremendous progress in the last few years, with a dynamic downtown, with a lot of great citizen engagement and commitment, and with a lot of strengths for the future, both in the environment around you, in the river, in the old buildings, in the young people who were engaged and dynamically in tune and wanted to be part of the future. So we don't second guess the priorities that communities establish. We think that there's a collective wisdom in communities. We think we saw that in Bellows Falls, and it was a great honor to work with all of you and with the community of Rockingham. Sorry if I call it Bellows Falls, but Rockingham, as you work to move projects forward. So thank you so much. And I don't know if you want to hear from each of the chairs. Each one of them is prepared to speak for a minute about what they're up to.
We might be interested if they have additional information they'd like to add to your wonderful presentation.
I'd be happy to go first. This is Laurel Green. I'm the chair of what is now known as Sustainable Rockingham. We changed our name because the other was too much of a mouthful. At our February 27th meeting, 20 people showed up eager to develop ways to increase making our town's ability to bounce back from any hardship, including climate change, and it turns out the COVID virus. to increase those abilities. We decided to become a community resilience organization, CRO or CRO for short, and we also divided into teams. At the end of the meeting, people didn't want to leave because there were so many ideas bubbling up between them. On March 19th, we had a Zoom meeting and the 5 teams reported back. Those 5 teams are garden swales and compost, transportation, weatherization, resilience, and renewable energy, and they're collaborating with the town energy committee. On a side note, members of the resilience team jumped right in to help get the local response to the COVID virus going. Other priorities for action have risen to the top. There's a wide range of things, but a couple of the things are establishing neighborhood and community composting in the face of the July 1 deadline for getting food waste out of the waste stream. Applying for a grant from the CRO's statewide network, and also the possibility of reaching out to owners that have buildings that are would be appropriate for rooftop solar development. I want to appreciate and thank each of the people who've stepped forward so far to take part in the actions of this task force, and we welcome other people to join us. There's plenty of work for all of us to do. Some of the features of our task force include adding capacity to the town of Rockingham. We're releasing the initiative of a number of individuals in town to take action, and we're also pulling in new resources that will benefit the town, particularly grant funding and also technical assistance. We're eager to communicate and work together with the select board and the village trustees to make our town even more of a friendly place to hang your hat, as the sign says. So thank you for giving us time today to report back on our progress, and especially thank you for providing VCRD and the whole community process that got our task force rolling. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. One more or
2 more.
2 more?
Yeah, Ray is one, and then there's the youth group.
Go ahead, whoever, here we go.
Yeah, they jump in.
Ray Masuko.
Okay. So
Makuso.
I'm in charge of the task force for building redevelopment. And what we're doing is updating and getting more detail on the existing inventory of buildings in town. The goal is to identify and collaborate with buildings that are unused, vacant, or underutilized. We can be a resource for, but we also want to use the development office as a resource. The Council on Rural Development has tremendous access to other resources, including funding, grants, loans, expert advice. So we've got an awful lot of buildings in our inventory that are not being maximized, either in efficiency or their best use. So going forward, we will set up committees to connect with individual building owners, both public and private. And we want to engage the entire community in this effort. We had 40 people sign up for the committee, 16 show up for my first meeting, 5 who said they could not attend, but I've had 4 or 5 more who have asked to join up, and we will have our second meeting on April 9th. So we're hard at work. We hope to work on the revitalization and redevelopment, not unlike what we did about 40 years ago with Rockingham Townscape.
Thank you. Thanks, Ray.
You're welcome.
And who's next? Yep.
Is it Haley?
Haley?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Hi there, sure can, yeah.
So my name's Haley and I'm co-chairing the Youth Center Task Force with Jesselyn Bashaw. And I know that time is limited and we have lots of really pressing things to talk about, so I'll be brief. But really our vision for building a youth center is to engage, the youth in our community whose lives have been touched by addiction and poverty and trauma and disability in often cases. And so our vision is really to connect those vulnerable youth to mentors and career paths, and really to build a safe and supportive environment so that all youth in our community can thrive. So that's kind of our vision, which is one piece of what the task force has been working on. The other piece is to connect with existing youth serving organizations and agencies in the community to see, what they're doing and how we can collaborate. So one of which is the rec center. So we've actually met with Ryan Studley and kind of talked to him about our vision and explained how really what we're trying to build is very different and in a lot of ways really complementary to the rec. And so he's in full support of what we're doing. So we've been meeting with community partners and working on that. And then we've also identified youth services who as a fiscal agent and are in the process of communicating with funders who are really interested in supporting our efforts. If you're interested in learning more, I would really suggest reaching out. We love to kind of share in the dream with anyone who's interested. We've already met with Deb Wright and picked her brain, and moving forward with some positive things and looking forward to the future.
Thanks, Haley.
Great, thank you very much. If that is it, anyone have any questions or comments right now? Anyone at home? Question, comment? Okay, thank you. Thanks again, and we need to move on to item number 2. It's the COVID-19 town and village response.
Yeah, and I'll start out with this. We could literally talk for 6 hours about this. We're spending most of our time working on our response. So what I have to hand out, if you guys, could you pass those along?
Certainly.
And I don't know if I sent these to the folks on the board members online, because it's basically an internal document that is not for general distribution, but I'm using it to show you what we're doing. We came up with a plan that has 3 phases. It was based on a plan that the police department has. We're in level 2, which is measured response and modified operations. So I'll just go down through the actions that are taking place in level 2. Town hall closed to the public. It's been closed since March 17th. The highway garages are closed to the public. They were going to be closed just for, except for deliveries, but now they're also closed to vendors. Staff may work in town buildings when the buildings are closed. That's something that we're looking at really daily. Who can work in the buildings, how we're gonna manage it. There's a lot of work that goes into just appropriate assignments. OSHA actually came out with regulations on employees during COVID, which is pretty interesting that they responded that fast with, actually they're not regulations, they're suggestions. And Chuck can help with, and David can help with, if you have any questions on those, but it's helpful. So basically what we're doing now is finance staff is working as necessary. So they're not there every day, but when we have something like utility bills, payroll, or regular billings, finance staff is there as much as they need to be. All of our phones are forwarded. There are very few phones that actually get answered in this building. They're forwarded to our cell phones. So the public shouldn't feel shy about trying to call us. Go ahead and call us. We'll answer. Emails are being answered just on a regular basis, whether or not we're in the office. The clerk's office is alternating office coverage, alternating between the clerk and the assistant clerk, Monday through Wednesday. I don't know if Kathleen has anything to add on that, but that seems to be working fine, because there are certain things that the clerk can only access in the office. The things in the vault can't be accessed online. So the clerk can find documents and provide the information to the person who needs them. We also have a new system, CoFile, where people can access land records online, and then for a fee you can print them. So and that's something that was in the works anyway, but this is a good opportunity for people to learn it. And then working from home, working at alternate locations. What we're doing there, the utilities, the wastewater and water utilities, they were cross-trained to some extent, but they've had additional shadowing. and they're alternating schedules to preserve staff if some become ill. That's just critical to do at this point. And all of these schedules that I'm talking about, we're changing them and updating them constantly. We are very conscious of expenses, and so we have reduced expenses in personnel. But we're balancing expenses with being able to respond, and our utilities have to be protected no matter what. Highway operations, they're going to change again tomorrow. They reduced the schedule the beginning of this week, just today and yesterday, because of an illness of a staff member. We're waiting for test results. Hopefully it's not COVID. They will be operating singly, doing things that they can do on their own. There's going to be some grading done later this week, sidewalk sweeping. They'll be assigned to individual vehicles. They won't be together. They'll be out of the garages as much as possible. There will be some cleanup of garages, but they'll be out of the garages as much as possible. Theater events obviously have been canceled. What the theater staff are doing, the ones who generally work more hours, is they're doing really thorough cleanings, like cleanings of the seats, that kinds of things that you never get to do when we're open, and backing up individuals who are not able to handle their other, like this building, for example. We're making sure that someone's always taking care of this building, and theater that's the other department that is in this building and knows how it operates. But again, we've done some cross-training there too. Recreation programs, obviously the rec center's closed. Evidently, in the newest governor's order, they're suggesting that the parks be open for small groups because they recognize the importance of exercise. So I know there's an issue with the tennis courts. We do want to expand passive park access, not groups. If there are groups, then we will come and gently disband the group. Non-essential meetings, I suspect there are meetings that have been canceled, but I don't know of them. Obviously, none of this board's meetings have been canceled, but some of the committees may have canceled meetings. Select board trustee meetings, we should really think about making, not meeting every week just because it's not a good idea in a time like this, and just prioritize what needs to be done, group things together. We have some grant deadlines actually coming up for the select board, and some bids, and we'll have the budget finalization for the trustees. The whole schedule for the the annual meeting may change. That's up in the air. Okay, so recycling center, I talked about that. So far, it's been able to be open. That is an essential service, obviously, but for public health and just environmental. We don't want people dumping. We're reassessing each day after it's open, and the highway staff are supporting those operations. Library's closed, but they are actually doing a lot online, and it's good. They're offering to help people with online training, as well as some fun stuff. And then we have the guidance that we're going with, which the health officers are providing. We're operating under those. They're not regulations, but protocols, and those are changing as we learn more about the illness. Those are changing, the virus, I should say. And then we are participating with other organizations. Gary Fox is the liaison to Rockingham Help and Helpers. That's what Laurel Green was talking about. And we're also in contact with law enforcement agencies. We always are, but we are particularly now, just to make sure we can back up each other. And then individual staff report illnesses to supervisors. That's critical. So we've had some internal training on that. And then walk-in customers, customers can't walk in. People who wish to be walk-in customers are just not able to be. And I haven't heard any complaints from just regular customers. They understand. frankly, they have other things to worry about. They're worried about their families, they're worried about their jobs. But we're there when they need us, and I think it's going okay so far. But please tell me if something is up, if folks who are listening here, or if any of you know where we're not being responsive. So then, the other things, I think I handed out the one with my notes on it.
Oops.
But I wanted to tell you about the finance. I got to remember the other thing. The financial structures that we've established to track the
COVID account.
Yep. Yeah, it's actually, we're structuring as a fund. It's not a fund that has money in it, but it's a fund to keep track of the expenditures, because we don't want to use just one account. We want to be able to divide it, like personnel, equipment, that kind of thing, because there may be extensive ones. Right now, it's pretty limited. And then the state is also working to find sources of funding. They want to know about our bond funding and our indebtedness. They've asked us to answer a survey by this Friday, so that they can look at some different structures. The bond bank is doing that. And then Shannon, can you expand on what we're doing, please?
With the accounts for the COVID?
Yeah, or just the general financial management.
Sure. So anything at all that pertains to the COVID-19, we are accounting for. So we have structures where we have salaries that are going to be accounted for within the general ledger, as well as materials, expenses. So we're just tracking everything, and it will be easy. And then we're also keeping copies of all of the invoices so that we have them on hand.
Okay, thanks. Found my notes. Do you have any questions? And we're also researching furlough, how that works.
Does anyone have any questions, comments? I have a couple. I'll wait. I'll start right here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, a couple of things. Who's cleaning the playground play equipment if it's being used by people during the day? I don't know how we ever cleaned it before.
I don't know. That's
Yeah,
Ryan.
I'm thinking about, Wells Street Playground was the first one was open, and they said up to 10 people could be there, but they've got swings and slides, and so that's a question about how
Right.
they're keeping it clean between, because then I went by a couple of days later, and there were a couple of adults in there, but there weren't any kids. So I wasn't sure if cleaning is getting done because of
Yeah, people
contamination.
should not assume that it's getting cleaned
Yeah.
like daily with
like the buildings.
Clorox. Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
the answer?
I'm saying people should not assume that it's
What
getting
was the
done.
answer to, is it getting cleaned?
That's a
'Cause
no, I
we
guess.
pay
Well-
someone, we pay someone to clean it.
Yeah, right. Who's, I believe is Ryan, but we don't, or one of his people, but we don't clean it daily. I'm saying they should not assume that it's getting cleaned daily.
That's fine.
Is he, so his department is closed, so he's getting paid to do what right now?
He's always, his activities fluctuate through the year.
So might that be something he could do?
Possibly, sure. No, I will talk to him about it. But people should not expect that it's getting done daily. I do not want the public to have that expectation.
There was another question, and that is, isn't tomorrow the day the dog licenses are due?
Oh yeah, no,
So how are we handling that?
Yeah, we've had that notice up for a while. People are really good about dog notices. Actually, I'm really impressed on how responsive people are. Kathleen, do you want to answer that one?
Sure. I was going to extend it. I found out it's not up to me to extend the due date, but we as a town can waive the late fee because the late fee stays here with us anyways. So I can go out as long as I want without charging a late fee.
Okay.
So we initially told people that it would be another month. We gave them another month.
And did we set a new date for the rabies clinic at this point?
He has not yet.
Okay.
No.
But because we can't.
Right, I understand, but they're like, say for instance, someone's gonna do puppy and they wanna get it registered, but they need rabies shots, so they need paperwork, and they need to get to you.
They actually have 6 months to register a puppy.
And they do, okay. All right. Just wanted to know for
Yeah.
those out there who need to get their dogs registered.
Right, and that information is on the website.
Great, thank you very much. I'm good.
Good. Anything over there? Question, comment?
You did.
And then there's a couple, I
Yeah.
wanted you to
Also-
hear about, oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on a second. Anyone at home have a question? Peter, Jiggs, Susan, any questions?
No, I'm fine.
Peter, are you there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Susan, I'm not sure if you've made it.
Yeah, she's there.
She wasn't. I have a question. So,
Wait a second. Again, maybe I had to run out real quick, but raised about taxes they're going to be due shortly, and are we at this point? How are we handling that? Encouraging people to mail in, call in.
So we have already waived the online processing fee. If individuals would like to use their debit and credit cards, they can use them to pay their taxes over the phone with us. They can do so also with their water and sewer bills. And they can mail them in. We will accept postmark dates at this time. And with the boards, we're discussing other avenues. So currently, you can mail them in. If you did want to, which we do not recommend, you could come to Town Hall and call the staff Monday through Wednesday, and we could come down and get it, although this is not advised. And then you can make payments over the phone via credit card or debit card without a fee, without the convenience fee.
Which is the 3%, so, or 2 something. But that's essentially
It's
what you.
typically 3.25.
Okay.
anything else, Stu?
She turned herself off.
Okay, so this COVID account that we're keeping track of the expenses, before we had, I think Shannon had mentioned potential reimbursement from either state or federal, correct?
Right.
So should we not get that? That was mentioned the first time. What is our plan for these additional expenses when it's a time where it seems like with many departments closed is affecting the revenue source? So I'm wondering what the plan is with the spending, keeping track. Should we not get reimbursed?
We have, we've definitely put a lot of thought into that. A great question. We are already watching everything that goes out the door as far as payments. There are lots of places such as utility companies and other things like that that are allowing us to pay them deferred, as you probably know personally. We are working to see where we will be as far as tax, water, sewer payments, trying to think what we can also do, although Wendy and I wanted to discuss it with the boards, potentially waiving, 8% penalties so that people can use that money to pay their bills as opposed to paying late fees. That'll be something we'll have to discuss coming up. But then there is 0% interest loans right now. There's deferment on bond payments. And then because this was already declared a state of emergency, there will be reimbursement. We won't know for sure until they tell us, but through FEMA or other avenues through the government, there will be reimbursement. We just have to wait until they get through that. And I imagine that probably won't be until we're on the other side of the pandemic.
Okay, thank you.
But the other thing is we are, we are looking at staff right now. So that is not, that is not forgotten.
Okay. My other question is going to be back to the highway. You had mentioned things were changing tomorrow. Is that what you said?
Yep.
What's that plan going to? And have you laid off any employees there?
No.
Like many businesses?
We haven't laid anyone off.
You haven't?
No. Laying off is a very formal, structured procedure. There have been some separations, but we have not laid off. There's a distinction.
But isn't it different in a time like, I think, some members of this board had to make that difficult decision because their businesses aren't operating at capacity. So right now is the time to do that because you'll receive immediate benefits. It's kind of everything suspended, won't impact anyone.
Right.
And they can continue to try to pay their bills and not affect a business who's struggling.
Yes, that's what we were thinking too. But Ray, if Ray's still on the line, he could advise because union agreements
It's
are involved.
okay with, I don't need the long answer, but, so tomorrow, the highway's going back to full force?
Not everybody will be working, but most people will be working.
Also, we have had separations with individuals throughout the organization already, and I think we're discussing with the attorney, layoffs is absolutely not the right answer, but however, looking into furlough.
Right.
And the funds would come from unemployment style, or no?
Well, furlough is when you don't get paid your salary, but you do get paid your benefits, and you're off for a limited amount of time with the expectation that you're coming back. But you are paid your health insurance is the most important one.
Where do you receive your income?
You don't while you're not. You don't receive
You're eligible
your salary.
for unemployment.
Sorry?
You're eligible for unemployment.
You are eligible for unemployment.
Correct.
And it's called furlough. They receive their benefits and could get unemployment.
That's correct.
Okay, thank
And
you.
you'll see that when we go through the personnel manual, actually, which is the next item.
That's all I have, just those couple questions.
Okay, and then I just wanted to give the chief a chance to talk about how police operations have been modified. I think that's important for the public to know. We have let them know. There's a statement on the website about how there are certain calls where we would normally respond in person. We're not, but I'll let the chief explain it.
Yeah, we are on a modified operations. With most of the other agencies in the state are on modified operations. If somebody calls in and the complaint can be handled through the telephone, that's what we'll do. 99% of the time before this, we would go out, we would meet with the person, we would try to resolve it. If it's a life safety issue, we're going to be responding and we're going to be there for that. We have some concerns that domestics may increase. We've had a couple. We're kind of worried that maybe there will be more break-ins, more vandalisms. We did have some vehicles that were entered that we're working on that case. And we're not just sitting at the PD, we're out and about, but we are limiting our contact with people for their sake and for our own. That we don't want to, if we have something, we don't want to pass it to them, and we don't want to get that from them. We're working with other agencies on continuity of service. If people in our office became ill, how would we cover the Village of Bellows Falls? How would we cover our dispatch service if they became ill? And we are looking into all of those things.
You feeling okay?
A little cold.
But it's a regular cold. It's a regular cold.
Regular cold.
Okay.
Was there another department you wanted to recognize?
Well, I mean, the health officer obviously is working, we're all working 7 days a week. Health officer, do you have anything to add?
I don't. We're embedded with police at this point. It's all incident command. Every decision is made collaboratively with the manager, finance director. Sean and I work now constantly. I'm not sure if Sean likes that, but that's our new reality. It is, I think Wendy said it perfectly, it is a changing target. Each day we are adapting and having to change our protocols. The big issue I would want to relate to the boards is that when we get, not if, when we get COVID positives in our ranks, or just claims or accusations, if you're being, you're working with the police, if you're a customer of the police, you may make claims of COVID positive. Those claims then get to the health office, we walk it back, we want to see if that's a legitimate claim and then take necessary action. Same thing with our staff. Make sure the protocols, if somebody's positive, did we follow CDC guidelines? That's an imperative at this point. Sean, is there anything we should add? We're good? Okay.
And then Gary is working on the collaboration with the community agencies, because we didn't want to duplicate anything and take that on ourselves. But we're working with others to just help that. And they're gonna be operating out of the Waypoint Center starting tomorrow.
Yes, and I could just say one sentence. If folks can check Rockingham Free Public Library, Rockingham Help, updates, procedures, everything we're doing is on that website. All of the partners involved, and pretty straightforward.
And also business help. Gary's coordinating that too, to the extent that, but that's not something that the town is going to coordinate. The state has business help. So people should be registering with them.
And the Bellows Falls Downtown Development Alliance and the Chamber are both notifying all their members, and the BIFTA website has all of the business help information, as does Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation. And folks can contact the development office for assistance if they need. We're in touch with the Small Business Administration and Agency of Commerce and Community Development on the assistance available, how to access it.
Thanks. They changed their application process this week. I was doing it last week, and they had all these layers of paperwork you needed, and I had to go to my accountant, and then on the weekend I couldn't get in. Like, they wouldn't let me sign in. So today I tried, and it's a really simple, it's like going for unemployment. It's a very simple, straightforward form now. So it'll make it easier for businesses that need to go and access that. Yeah, it's great.
Good. All right. Thanks.
Okay, thanks a lot for the update. Now, moving on to number 3. We have the amended personnel rules, consideration of adoption here. We would have the old set, the new set. I think the trustees' set's even different than ours.
Well, what happened was the trustees already had the new ones. So when I sent it out, I just sent the old ones to the trustees.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I got confused this weekend.
Yeah, sorry for the confusion.
That's
We're trying to
okay.
save a little bit of
A
paper.
little bit of paper.
Gaetano,
Yes, sir.
Jim McAuliffe. I've read through the work that was done by the committee. I think it was generally a worthwhile exercise, and a lot of good edits and things like that. But I for one have several things that I want to discuss, and it would seem to me that it would be appropriate to set up a subcommittee between including 2 select board members and 2 trustees to go over comments that we have, so that we can update the work that's been done, and then send it around for review.
I agree. I don't think we can do all that tonight. We'll go through this page by page, and so. Sorry?
You should make a motion then.
You could make a motion to have such a plan, if you'd like, sir.
I will make the motion then for the trustees that we set up a subcommittee with 2 members to work with the select board to finalize the document for review by both the boards and the personnel committee.
Okay, this is the trustee one, so we need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Jonathan seconds. Any discussion by the trustees? Okay. Then, nope, okay. Then all those in favor of Jig's motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, there are no no's, it's unanimous, so I guess you guys need to do the same motion for this one.
Deb, I'll volunteer to serve on that.
Okay. All right, let's get the select board's side, so we get done.
Entertain a motion. Have a subcommittee. A couple of members to join the trustees to review.
I'll make the motion for the subcommittee to review the work that's been done for the personnel rules with 2 members of the select board to join the
Motion been made, need a second?
I'll second it.
Motion been made and seconded to establish a subcommittee with 2 members from the select board to join the trustees to review and discuss the updated personnel rules. All those in favor would signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Peter?
Yeah, I said it.
Okay.
So wait,
I don't, is Sue there?
No, she got a note there, she shuddered.
Okay. Motion
Yeah,
passed.
I said aye.
Okay,
there you
great,
go.
thank
I
you.
said aye.
Motion passes. So,
My camera's off because the internet's.
that's okay. It's okay. So, we'll just continue select board for a second here. Who's interested in that committee or available? Probably would be done in a similar manner to Zoom here.
Yeah.
But it needs to get done. Anyone? Sue or Peter interested? Have the time for that? Stefan?
Difficult to leave with the circumstances we're under up there.
Peter, are you interested?
Well, I'm on the committee currently.
I know. So you might have good in.
Full of stuff I'm dealing with that's come up, so depending on when the meetings are, that will dictate whether maybe we'll just put it on.
Probably don't need one meeting.
Might just need one meeting.
I'm good
I'll
to,
be in, but if it comes up and I've got something else that I have to attend to,
Well, if it's, yep.
We'll work
If
on
it's
it.
just the 4 of you, you could probably schedule a time when we can get together and do it. Did you say you're interested?
yeah, if,
Ben and Peter could represent the select board side. Is that okay, Sue? Everybody okay with that?
That's fine.
I think we need a motion for that. Okay.
No, you don't.
Yep.
So on the village side, we have, Jig said he was interested. Is there anyone else who has a burning desire to be on that committee? Okay, so it's me and Jigs. All right.
All right, great. So that'll conclude item 3. We've.
Katano,
Yes, sir.
are you taking comments on the current process that's out there now? I had a couple of questions when I ran through this.
So he has a couple questions on
Yes,
that?
go ahead. Yep.
All right, if everybody looks on page 4, item K, it says Personnel Rules Committee.
Yeah.
There's no mention of the trustees or select board representative on there.
No, there isn't.
Is that intentional?
Which letter?
Item K.
Yeah, that's how they wanted it.
So there's one item to
But I think
discuss.
that's also how, there's a longer answer to that I'd rather tell you offline.
Okay, but it is the definition of the committee, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense, Peter, I understand.
Okay, then if you look at page 22, it just looks like a typo because one section got done right, the other got left off. But it's a matter of E and F. If you look at theirs, there's no parentheses on the 1.5 times on item E, and then F. I think the right-hand parentheses should be moved after times instead of at the 1.5. Just my opinion.
I'm confused.
So you're talking about the parentheses?
E and F.
Wow.
Similar wording.
Oh, but no parentheses.
Yeah, I would vote for parentheses, but that's just me.
How is
But-
it different than E though, I think is this question.
Oh, because because both of them should say 1 and 1/2 times, and then in parentheses put 1.5.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, that's, so one is and
identical.
one isn't.
Right, it's all.
Right.
That's what
No,
he's saying.
they're both, right, one doesn't have the parentheses.
That's all.
Right.
That makes sense.
Great.
It's a typo.
Anything
That's all I
else?
have. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Anyone else, anything you wanna comment on that right now? We'll move on. We have a committee, I'm sure we'll get all those typos and questions. Okay, so, is there any other business? Anyone from the board?
Aye.
I have a question, and Gary might be able to answer it. And I know could be because of circumstances, but what's the update on the storefront here? It's just not happening. Are they gonna be outfitting?
Yes.
Can they do that?
Starting a little later, they took measurements to build, fit up for the storefront. and they are gonna move forward, just not starting while they can't be open.
I had one thing, if I may. I guess the group I'm in now is the Rockingham Helpers. I got asked the other day to participate in help making, whether you find them effective or not effective, in making masks. And so I'm putting it out there simply because one of the things that's coming up short, more than anything, is elastic. And if people have any people who are sewers and stuff and have the 1 inch, the 1.5 or 1 1/4 or 1 inch, oh, I'm sorry, or maybe half an inch elastic, if they have any extras, please get in touch with me, or if they're interested in making masks, you can send it my email or give me a call, and because I don't know how many we're gonna need. Yes, Kathleen?
I saw something on Facebook today, they said cut a bungee cord, because there's all kinds of pieces of elastic.
Of elastic in that. Okay, well, that's one way. But if anyone has any stockpiled, I mean, I don't mean hoarded, but in the course of your sewing years like mine, you may have a couple of different bunches of it laying around, or stuff that you can cut in half, or bungee cords, something like that. If you have some, let us know. We don't know how many we're going to end up making, but it is a lot of out of stock when I went online to try and make some purchases. Thank you very much.
Anyone else on the board? Yes, sir, Gary.
Yeah, so I just, I didn't say these details during the report, but I think it is important that community members know. The survey is still available. Close to 200 people filled it out, and there are 120 volunteers. At this point, 35 people needing help. Could grow exponentially as the virus does. And some of that is bringing donations for distribution to those folks that are quarantined or sheltered in place that needs them. And we are open at the Waypoint, part-time town staff, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Every morning to take donations of food, perishables. There's refrigeration, toilet paper, hygiene, supplies. Thanks to Chroma for getting us some gloves. And yeah, I guess that's the important thing, is the donations are available, and there's just incredible support. Every organization that works with people in town is working on this, and there will be monetary donations probably next week between Greater Falls Connections and Parks Place. They're working that piece out, so that is not set yet. If people want to donate money to buy perishables or food projects, but as of next week, that should be live. And again, check the library website for when that comes up.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, agenda items for the next joint board regular meeting, which we're anticipating to be June 30th, 2020. Anything at this point? Probably not, right? We could.
I don't have any.
Okay, so I believe we have 1, 2, 3 executive sessions. Someone wants to read.
Wait, I just want to clarify. Wendy, did you want the second one first, not the one that's on here? Even though we might come out making a motion on that one.
Well, think about if you want Ray advice.
Well, we would, right, well, would we want his advice on both the first and the second one?
Yes, and you want Shannon on the second one. I mean, what I'm calling the second one is the one that's on here now.
Okay, you want to flip it that way. All I'm saying is the likelihood is motion will be made, so action will be taken, most likely, on the one that's on there.
Why don't you do that one first?
The one that's on there.
Do the one that's on there first.
1, legal matters 2, trustees 3.
Right, so labor relations 1, yep.
Okay.
Am I staying for these, or am I calling in?
I think you should stay for the first one, is my opinion.
So for the first one, which is going to be labor relations, yes, and also attorney Ray Masuka, right?
Yes.
And what we need to do is everyone here will disconnect and we will call in. You all have this number?
Yep, what is the number?
Okay.
No, that session is live and is open to the public, so they have to call the phone.
Yeah, that's what he said, call the phone. We need the phone number.
There is a way to actually separate it out.
I don't want to announce this number over the
People really.
You
want-
need the number, Jigs? Everyone, Peter's called, Sue's called.
Why don't you call me?
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, we got that. And then.
I think we can only have 2 people on that conference line, so want me to call
We got
some-
3 the other day, I think.
Yeah, we got 2 and I had 1 on.
No,
Yeah.
we had all 3 on the phone.
We did.
We did?
We
Okay.
did. You can have, we've
Very
had, I've had
similar
5.
session. We had those folks at home and we were here.
Well, there's Sue, Peter, James, and myself.
And Ray Masuko. That's 5 people.
So, do you want, I'm just saying, do you want me to call somebody's cell phone that's in the room?
Yep.
Yes. So the 3 members, 2 select board, 1 trustee will call this phone, okay? And then Shannon will call someone's cell phone here. Ray can call that same person's cell phone.
Okay. Cool.
How's that sound?
Jake's needed somebody to call.
Okay, great. Somebody make a motion.
Yeah, that's fine. Jigsaw. Okay. So
Okay, I'm calling.
we have to do them separate.
Hold on.
Oh, wait.
Okay, Shannon's calling mine. Shannon, right? Okay.
We have
Right.
separate boards.
We're gonna do this.
Select board and trustees have to do it
I
separate.
don't even know what we're doing.
Oh.
This
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah, I'll dial
We're
Ray.
going
Still
into
have to
executive session. We
separate-
have to
Number
make a
8.
motion in a public meeting.
Yes.
What are we discussing though?
Number 8.
Number 1, labor
The
relations.
first one is number 8 on our card.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that the Board of Trustees enter into an executive session to discuss labor relations, where premature general knowledge may clearly place the municipality at a substantial disadvantage.
Need a second for
I'll
that?
second.
Was that trustee?
I guess it's gonna be trustees now. Okay, this is for the trustees. So all those in favor of this first motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Did I hear Jake say aye? Okay. Okay, we're good. We need the second motion too. There's 2 on
You
these.
inviting anyone to your first?
Oh, I'm sorry, and that I was saying, is to include Ray Masuko and Shannon Barbila, and the manager, Wendy Harrison.
Okay. I move that the board enter into an executive session to discuss
Thank you, gentlemen.
labor relations contract with personnel under provisions of Title I, 313A1 of the Vermont statutes.
Okay, need a second?
Second?
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's it. So the trustees are done now. You want to do it for the select board too?
Sure. I'll make a
Okay.
motion that the Rockingham Select Board enter into an executive session to discuss labor relations / personnel, and where premature general knowledge may clearly place the municipality at a disadvantage.
And invite.
And invite the municipal manager, the attorney, and
Finance director.
the finance director.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We have another one.
Okay, I move that the select board enter into an executive session to discuss labor relations, personnel, under the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1 of the Vermont statutes.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to enter executive
I'm
session.
gonna make a pit stop.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're going into executive session. Shannon, can you disconnect everyone from this thing?